if you really want to know how they work, I mean,
if this was in England,
Single tasking is way better than multitasking. I'm talking about men. សម្រាប់មនុស្សស្រីគឺ they good at multitasking already. It's their skill. តែសម្រាប់ for us men we are bad at multitasking. So try to single task more than multitasking. មូលហេតុអីខ្ញុំលើកឧទាហรណ៍មួយការខ្ញុំប្លង់បាក់ឌុបខ្ញុំប្លង់បាក់ឌុបបានអីហ្នឹងមិនមកខ្ញុំមិនមកពីខ្ញុំបដោតទៅលើ A lot
of people think that the Singapore dollar is pegged to the US dollar, but it's not. The monetary authority of this country pegs the SGD against a basket of currencies from its top trading partners. So that's why the currency stays stable, but it isn't pegged to just one currency. And they don't tell you which currencies it's pegged to exactly, but we do know that the US dollar is obviously one of...
Update on getting deported.
when I first saw this technology,
does Japan?
Negative time has been discovered.
You have to leave Europe. But today, let's focus on one part. Nordics. But what are the Nordic countries?
Yeah, I've been working ICE 10 years now. They just transferred me to Japan. Gotta keep these streets safe, you know? Let's get to work. Sir, are you in the country legally? Yes, they have me.
Let me shock you with salary structures here in Japan. Oh my goodness.
Almost no human contact.
Debunking American propaganda. I'm going to show you why I refuse to drink tap water, let alone let it touch my skin or hair.
We
just had the biggest YouTube algorithm update.
Tension show.
Can has some blow no bunking gong way, the light him that some emerging among all. Allow you a move using. Just have you wink by the county crown hang up bone. Jungle Joan or pushing get a crown, get hands of 5 more. Just about living room by young Tom the list and the quad. ភាពជាមួយនឹង future ពណ៌បែបហ្នឹងបងប្អូនអាចមើលបានចាហើយសម្រាប់បន្ទប់ master room ហ្នឹងវិញគឺ view 360 degree ហ្មងដោយសារតែ unit នេះគឺជា unit កែងអញ្ចឹង view បន្ទប់នេះគឺវាបាន
Grok, are you Democrat or a Republican?
Hey, relax, you're good.
He would look at the guard's key.
Thousands of people have canceled their Crunch Fitness gym memberships after...
Damn, Beyonce lost 10 million followers.
Are you trying to pay my salary and hawk to?
ពេលកាត់នេះម្ចាស់ផ្ទះត្រូវការលក់ខ្ញុំចាប់អារម្មណ៍ comment បងបើសិនជាដៃចាដៃប្រាប់បងប្អូនថាយ៉ាងណាក៏
Kemi?
You got a lot of people today. Can you guys say hi?
Giờ mà mơ video đây cũng không ta là bởi được không TikTok ទាំងអស់គ្នាគឺថាកីឡាករ Traore របស់ West Ham នឹងគឺបានចាប់បោកកីឡាមកគេថាតលក់លាជាប់ប្រចាំការពីមួយខែតែបានទៅណាតថ្ងៃនេះខ្ញុំទៅជប៉ុន 4-5 ថ្ងៃតែលាហាយើងនៅបើកធម្មតាណា
We already had ChatGPT 10 years ago. This is called civilian delay window. And it means most of the technology that you have right now probably existed more than a decade ago in classified or military form. Take SR-71 as an example. That shit looks like something from Star Wars. And it can go 3 times faster than sound. But it was made in 1964. And most people still have...
Intelligent people hate job interviews, but also they're not very good at them because intelligent people recognize the world isn't black and white. It exists in a shade of grey in most things, and therefore when you go to a job interview and they're asking you these questions, you answer it in that grey manner, in an academic way. But the interviewer isn't looking for that. And that's where the mistake happens, because the interviewer is looking for certainty. The interviewer is looking for that Hollywood movie ending. We all watch rom-coms and we know that's not reality, but people still watch them and people still enjoy them. And that's where the conflict occurs, because you're going in there and over-intellectualizing the actual interviewing process and the interviewing answers. And what the interviewer is really looking for is clarity and conviction and belief in what you're saying. So the first thing you're going to do is use the right language. We're not going to use diluting language. You're not going to say, I think this and I think that. You're going to say, I believe this and I believe that. You're speaking with far more conviction. Again, words like possibility,
Police say Nancy Guthrie, mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie, is missing from her home near Tucson, Arizona.
Pretty much just throwing everything at us as we can.
While everyone is watching the U.S. aircraft carriers, China just quietly broke the air blockade. In the last 48 hours, something unbelievable happened above Asia. 16 Chinese Y-20 military cargo planes took off and then vanished from the radar. These massive transport aircraft turned their transponders off, flying completely dark. Their destination, Iran. And what they carried is what's shaking the Pentagon right now. This wasn't food. This wasn't humanitarian aid. According to multiple intel sources, China delivered advanced electronic warfare systems, the kind built to blind U.S. carrier-based F-35 jets. Yes, you heard that right. China may have just handed Iran the technology to jam American aircraft, right in the middle of the Persian Gulf standoff. 16 aircraft. 0 radio signals. A full airborne supply chain delivered under America's nose. If this is true, the balance of power over the Middle East just shifted, and nobody noticed. The real question now, what will the U.S. do next? Follow for the next update.
Let me hold your hand while I say this. Nobody is safe from layoffs. If you work for a large corporation, at some point, you may be on the list. I know people who have been promoted January 1st, laid off January 15th. I know people who have given their heart and soul for many, many years have gotten laid off. So if you take nothing from what I say, take this. Make sure you have other income options and start today.
What was there at the start?
We don't know.
As the cost of living crisis, suddenly we went up from prices being around there to prices being there. And you don't really see that in this data, okay? Because inflation is really just measuring the difference between that and that. And if you look at those two lines, you're talking about a 2.3% change. That's the number we're talking about today. But for a lot of people, it's not about that. It's about the difference between this and that. And when you look at the difference between this and that's 20%. And I think that's the dichotomy here between these inflation numbers where it looks normal and this, which is really not normal at all.
France invented modern citizenship, and here's how it works. When the French Revolution overthrew the monarchy...
Did you know that Gemini allows you to turn any selfie into a professional headshot in seconds using this simple one-sentence prompt? I'm going to show you exactly how this works right now. All right, so all you got to do is take a selfie, upload it to Gemini, and then paste in this exact prompt. Remove the background and turn this into a professional 4K headshot PNG.
February 1st of 2026, a small single-engine airplane flew over downtown Toronto, Canada, towing a long aerial banner that read, quote, "Make Iran Great Again," with Iran being in bold red letters. Now, the flight happened right above the Yongi Dundas Square.
I bet you haven't seen this video. What's the capital? What's the capital of China? King Kong. King Kong. What is it? It's King Kong City. It's all China in it. The capital of India. Oh my God, I think I know this. Bangladesh.
Oh, how the tables have turned. For over the last year, Donald Trump has been saying that Canada should become the 51st state. But now the people of Minnesota are asking if they can become the 11th province and join Canada. Minnesota wants to leave the United States because of Donald Trump's invasion into Minnesota. Some are saying that they would want to be called Manitoba. Minnesota's former governor, Jesse Ventura, pitched the idea last weekend on a podcast. Ventura said, quote, "It's obvious Trump doesn't want Minnesotans," and he said that he's sure Canada would be happy to take them. He also said he's serious and that someone should contact Canada and see if they're open to this. The idea of Minnesota joining Canada is not a new one.
Did you know that the northern parts of Japan is significantly emptier compared to the rest of the country? In fact, Hokkaido has 22% of the country's landmass, but only 4% of the population. And although it's true that the northern parts of Japan is a relatively newer frontier compared to the rest of the country, this doesn't explain the whole story. Instead, much of it has to do with the fact that the north is often referred to as a snow country.
I think this is a great place to look for aliens. This star is about 40 light years from Earth, and it's called TRAPPIST-1, and it has 7 planets. All of them are about the same size as Earth. All 7 of them are terrestrial.
This is the moment deals quietly die in China. In the meeting. The table isn't where decisions happen. It's where...
You know, you and I were on Iranian television yesterday,
I don't know if you knew that.
I did not know that. I've been on press TV in the past.
No, you and I are regulars on Iranian television.
The Sinitic.
Let's compare how Donald Trump spoke way back in 1988 and how he spoke the other day. Here's two clips back to back.
They come over here, they sell their cars, their VCRs, they knock the hell out of our companies. And hey, I have tremendous respect for the Japanese people. I mean, you can respect somebody that's beating the hell out of you, but they are beating the hell out of this country. Kuwait, they live like kings. The poorest person in Kuwait, they live like kings. And yet they're not paying. We make it possible for them to sell their oil. Why aren't they paying us 25% of what they're making? It's a joke.
We're going to build the greatest golden dome ever built. We're building a golden dome that's going to, just by its very nature, going to be defending Canada. Canada gets a lot of freebies from us, by the way. They should be grateful also, but they're not. I watched your Prime Minister yesterday. He wasn't so grateful. But they should be grateful to us. Canada lives because of the United States. Remember that, Mark, the next time you make your statements.
So there's a huge difference between the two. There's a difference in what he's saying. He is able to, in the first video in 1988, inhibit saying anything bad about Japan, saying I have great respect for Japan. He was able to connect one example to the next by switching from Japan to Kuwait and doing that in a manner that was very appropriate. And then in the current video, he's basically on a global stage calling Mark Carney a piece of shit. And that is from dementia, or really any dementia, because it's disinhibition, where the frontal lobe and all the high level things that we have the frontal lobe for is deteriorating in Trump. And so then you also have how he is saying things. His motor speed.
Japan is smaller than California, has over 3 times as many people, yet manages to have a housing surplus. This is not just because of Japan's aging population. Although the country as a whole has seen a slight decline, major cities such as Tokyo are still growing, yet have managed to keep housing relatively affordable.
We're going to celebrate America's 250th birthday, and he asked all of us to think outside the box. How do we make this historic and cool, and let's all do this together? And he loves the country and loves the birthday, and so we at DOT were working on this concept. We didn't know at the same time Penske was working on the same project too. And so we've come together and...
Let's talk about who actually make those e-bikes. Would they ever...
The Asian guy?
Yes, the reason it's so hard for Americans to get foreign bank accounts is because of the U.S. government. Because after 2008, the huge financial crisis, the government cracked down and they were like, okay, now all foreign institutions have to report information to us of Americans living abroad, and any institution that has an American account holder. They also have global taxation, so no matter where in the world we live, we have to report to the IRS. There are banks that take you, especially if you live in Switzerland. It's Zkb, UBS, Post Finance, Migros Bank. There are many banks that will work with Americans.
The son of Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, is reported to own luxury real estate in the United Kingdom valued at more than £100 million. Mojtaba Khamenei, aged 56, has been linked to 11 properties on the Bishops Avenue in Hampstead, an area often referred to as Billionaires Row. The properties, initially purchased in 2013 for around £73 million, have since appreciated to exceed £100 million. These properties are reported...
I thought this was kind of interesting. The most mentioned vice presidents and presidents by Trump using his Truth Social posts. Now, obviously, he loves mentioning Biden the most. Of course he is. You always mention the previous guy the most. He does.
I hope so.
Some people say that China is the world's factory only because of its cheap labor, but India has a similar population, and half. That's because China has more advanced technology and far better infrastructure.
Just a friendly reminder, that boring indoor life you're living is saving you from a lot of trouble.
A once-in-a-generational event. Precious metal prices dropping at rates not seen in decades.
Price of gold and silver have fallen pretty sharply.
Silver drops by the most in one day in history, and gold prices dropped by the most in one day since the 1980s.
Well, a once-in-a-generation sell-off in gold and silver hasn't stopped local investors from trying to get into the market.
Are you standing in the queue?
I'll come to buy some silver.
So you're a long-term investor?
Yeah, I see it as a store of wealth.
And what about gold?
I'm not that rich.
The most honest life lessons no one talks about. 1,
The day a blind man sees, and the first thing he throws away is the stick that helped him all his life. Growth means letting go of what once served you. 2, sometimes you have to suffer in life.
Trump is making America socialist. Here's my argument. The US government now owns 10% of Intel, taking 15% of NVIDIA's revenue, and has a controlling stake in US Steel. That's state-controlled enterprise. It's also called socialism. And the White House now has direct control of independent agencies, SEC, FTC, FCC. His own advisor said the goal is to, quote, identify pockets of independence and seize them, unquote. That's state-controlled governance. It's also called socialism. And he's purged 300,000 federal workers, replaced civil service protections with loyalty tests. He's packed the courts, and when courts do rule against him, his administration ignores roughly 1 in 3 orders. That's state-controlled institutions, also called socialism. But that's not necessarily a bad thing, because China is socialist, and it runs extraordinarily well. But the problem is that China is run by competent, intelligent, experienced leaders, and the Republican Party is none of those things. More importantly, China's culture accepts collective state control, socialism, because it's central to their Confucianist cultural perspective, high power distance, long-term collective thinking. But American culture is the exact opposite, because it's individualist, which distrusts authority and has a constitution designed specifically to prevent centralized power, or socialism. So while Trump and the Republicans work towards building a socialist America, it's destined to fail, not because socialism can't work, but because they're not equipped to run it, and the culture will reject it.
I don't know. Okay, math or maths?
I believe very strongly he was a spy, yes.
And who do you think he was working for?
The Israelis. I'm confident it was the Israelis.
Why?
Jeffrey Epstein is kind of the stereotypical example that they give you in training for what's called an access agent. This is a different kind of recruit. So, for example, if you're a foreign intelligence service and you want information, like close-in information from a former president, from the CEO of the biggest company in the world, from a member of the British royal family, you're not going to recruit these guys. You're not going to recruit Bill Clinton or Bill Gates or Prince Andrew. So you do the next best thing. You recruit somebody who has regular access to them. And that person that you recruit is going to need to make these people feel comfortable and appreciated. And so you give him plenty of money. So he has this house on an island, or he has the whole island. And maybe you bring in young girls, you get them in compromising positions, just in case you need to use what's called compromat, compromising pictures. We know now that Jeffrey Epstein's house on the island had video cameras, hidden video cameras in literally every room, including the bathrooms. Why? Why would he care what was going on, unless it was to use that information against people? As I said, only the Israelis and the Russians use extortion as a motivator.
So would they have made Jeffrey Epstein rich?
Yeah.
In order to give him that access?
Yes.
How could they have done that?
Oh, that's easy. I mean, you do. I mean, governments are the only ones really that can launder money unfettered. And you can also do it through real estate, through fine art, and through horses. Those are the 3 easiest ways to launder money today. Fine art, real estate, and racehorses.
But presumably he would have spoken out at some point, no? He would have said something, or?
No. But it would explain why he got a sweetheart deal in 2006. I mean, this is a guy that's been convicted of child sex crimes. And he gets 6 months of house arrest with an ankle bracelet? We have mandatory minimums in this country. That's a 5-year mandatory minimum, first offense.
he definitely had some interesting power, didn't he?
And Alex Acosta, who was the prosecuting attorney at the time and then later became Secretary of Labor under Trump 1, Alex Acosta said that he was ordered by the Attorney General to give Epstein the sweetheart deal. Well, who's the only person that can order the Attorney General to do something? It's the president. So was it because Epstein was working on Clinton? Most of the people down there were Democrats? I mean, what was the reason?
Let me tell you why the most unqualified people in the room keep getting promoted.
How many spies do you think there are in the United States? If you think about
foreign spies,
domestic spies, people that are basically undercover.
Including Americans, you mean?
Including Americans.
The number of CIA employees is classified. The number of CIA employees undercover is actually even more highly classified. I can give you a guesstimate.
But also, you know, Russia, China.
Yeah. 50 to 60,000 altogether?
50 or 60,000.
AI zillionaire. First of all indications are.
Iran has declared complete military readiness if the US attacks. America is sending more forces to the area. In the past, President Donald Trump has threatened to intervene in Iranian protests and its nuclear plans.
We do have very big, powerful ships heading in that direction, but they are talking to us, seriously talking to us.
Iran's supreme leader also warns that if the US attacks, it will trigger a full regional conflict in the Middle East. Iran has declared complete.
There's a lot of breaking news that happened here in the United States today, and I'm sure you missed some of it, so here's a quick recap of all the US news. We start off in Minneapolis.
So I'm not concerned about war. What I'm concerned of is miscalculations. And I think President Trump is wise enough to make the correct decision.
How can a meaningful negotiations process be jump-started right now?
We have lost our trust to the United States as a negotiating partner. There are now some intermediators.
Here's the last 24 hours in geopolitics. Stop waiting for the algorithm to show you tomorrow's update. Get it in your inbox, link in bio. Iran's supreme leader Ali Khamenei warned that any US attack on Iran would trigger a regional war, accused Washington of seeking to seize Iran's oil and gas resources, and described recent nationwide protests as a foreign-backed sedition similar to a coup that was suppressed. This as US President Donald Trump said he hoped to reach a negotiated deal with Iran, confirmed that US military assets were moving closer to the country, and declined to reveal whether a final decision on escalation had been made. Israel's Army Chief Lieutenant General Ayal Zamir reported.
Breaking news. We have some major news right now. A massive corruption scheme has been exposed regarding the Trump family and a royal family from the United Arab Emirates. Here's what you need to know about right now. The Wall Street Journal has revealed that a secret deal was cut between the Trump family, Eric Trump, his son, and others in the family just 4 days before Donald Trump's inauguration, in which a royal family from a, quote, spy sheik purchased a 49% stake in a Trump family company, a new crypto company that the Trump family was starting, for $500 million in exchange for 49% in the business. Just months later, the United States gave access to the United Arab Emirates to highly guarded AI computer chips.
Buckle up, because we got a lot of news to cover tonight in tonight's U.S. News Recap, so let's get started. First, Elon Musk is actually weighing in on the Epstein files drop, calling out what he is calling performative justice. He says on X, quote, "What matters is not release of some subset of the Epstein files, but rather the prosecution of those who committed heinous crimes with Epstein. When there is at least one arrest, some justice would have been done. If not, this is all performative. Nothing but a distraction." And those comments are spreading fast because a lot of people are retweeting this and saying the same thing. We need people arrested for what had happened here. Next, we move over to Trump.
of nuclear attacks on U.S. soil. And again, for those of you that are hopping on a little bit late that missed it, let's go ahead and cover for you the 15 cities that they are saying are the primary targets if things were to erupt. And they're saying at this point it would be World War III. And again, for those of you that missed it, those top 15 cities that they're saying to be on the lookout for is Great Falls, Montana, Cheyenne, Wyoming, Ogden, Clearfield, Utah, Shreveport, Louisiana, Honolulu, Hawaii, Omaha, Nebraska, Colorado Springs, Colorado, Albuquerque, New Mexico, Washington, D.C., Seattle, Washington, San Francisco, California, Houston, Texas, Chicago, Illinois, Los Angeles, California, and New York City, as they're saying that there is concerns about attacks on the U.S. homeland with potential nuclear attacks coming from our adversaries. And that is why also we're hearing that there are warnings coming out of potential attacks on U.S. soil. I shared with you just 4 days ago, take a look here. Pentagon warns that future wars may hit U.S. soil as direct military threats grow. And one of those threats we heard was the threat of nuclear attacks on U.S. soil. And again, for those of you that are hopping on a little bit late that missed it, let's go ahead and cover for you the 15 cities that they are saying are the primary targets if things were to erupt. And they're saying at this point it would be World War III. And again, for those of you that missed it, those top 15 cities that they're saying to be on the lookout for is Great Falls, Montana, Cheyenne, Wyoming, Ogden, Clearfield, Utah, Shreveport, Louisiana, Honolulu, Hawaii, Omaha, Nebraska, Colorado Springs, Colorado, Albuquerque, New Mexico, Washington, D.C., Seattle, Washington, San Francisco, California, Houston, Texas, Chicago, Illinois, Los Angeles, California, and New York City, as they're saying that there is concerns about attacks on the U.S. homeland with potential nuclear attacks coming from our adversaries. And that is why also we're hearing that there are warnings coming out of potential attacks on U.S. soil. I shared with you just 4 days ago, take a look here. Pentagon warns that future wars may hit U.S.
Here's the last 24 hours in geopolitics. In the United States, thousands protested in Minneapolis and students staged walkouts across the U.S., demanding the withdrawal of federal immigration agents, while Trump's administration continued enforcement operations. In Iran, Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian said Trump, Netanyahu, and Europe have escalated tensions. Top Iranian security official Ali Shamkhani warned Iran will respond effectively to any aggression. In Pakistan, at least 92 militants were killed in Baluchistan battling security forces, while 15 security personnel also died. Militants targeted civilians in several areas, killing at least 18, including women and children. In Congo, over 200 people have died this week in a collapse at the Rubaya coltan mine in Eastern Democratic Republic of the Congo. In the United States, newly released investigative files on Jeffrey Epstein highlight his connections with wealthy and powerful figures, including Bill Gates and Elon Musk. In Iran has launched live-fire naval exercises in the strategic Strait of Hormuz amid rising tensions with the U.S. In Gaza, Israeli airstrikes killed 32 people, including children, in Gaza in response to a Hamas ceasefire violation, Palestinian civil defense officials said. In UK-Japan, UK PM Keir Starmer praised the strong UK-Japan relationship during a press conference in Tokyo, calling it stronger than it has been in decades. In Ethiopia, drone strikes in northern Tigray killed one person and injured another, signaling renewed clashes between regional and national forces. In Denmark, hundreds of Danish veterans protested silently outside the U.S. Embassy in Copenhagen over Trump's...
Zohran Mamdani's mother was also named in the Epstein files on Friday, and because of that, claims are now going wild on X, suggesting that Epstein is Mamdani's biological father. Yeah, now, despite how ridiculous that is, considering when the email was sent in 2009, Mamdani would have been 18 years old, that hasn't stopped posts on X from going viral. In fact, one of them suggesting this has got nearly 15 million views. Now, the reference to Mamdani's mom, Myra Nair, in question is from an email sent to Epstein talking about an after-party for a film which had attendees like Bill Clinton, Jeff Bezos, and the director of the film, Mamdani's mom. Yeah, Myra actually directed the 2009 biopic, Amelia, so I imagine it would make sense that the director goes to the after party. And in fact, from these emails, it's not even clear if Epstein himself ever went to the party in the first place. So yeah, wild day for information. These are the names that we still got to go through. Zohran Mamdani's mother was...
The Department of Justice is deliberately violating the law, and I need your help to get the word out because I don't know what else to do. I spent the last 48 hours now reviewing tens of thousands of Epstein files, and over the past several hours, I have found two critical files that the Department of Justice just completely violated the law on. The first is a file that has a manila envelope, and then afterwards has literal photographs of underage girls. We know they're underage because the photographs contain the date of birth of each girl. Another document literally is a list of Epstein victims, 32 of them to be exact. One name is redacted, 31 are not. And the pictures that I mentioned, not a single one is redacted. And so I spent this morning emailing the Department of Justice a list of documents that they failed to redact. But at this point, it really seems deliberate, and that's why I need your help to get the word out. So repost this, do whatever you have to do. The Epstein Files Transparency Act and the law generally requires protection of the victims, of the survivors. And based on everything I'm reviewing, that just didn't happen here. They're redacting the names of perpetrators and keeping survivor names unredacted. And I don't know who to get this to, so spread the word. Please let them know. And if you're at the department...
Xi Jinping has just completed a purge of China's top military leaders, and this is one.
We have some serious news right now. ICE is now tear gassing children at protests in southern Portland. I'm going to show you a video shortly of a 7-year-old child being tear gassed by ICE agents.
Okay, breaking news. How could Iran hit back if the US does launch military strikes against it? First, we've got some breaking news concerning...
We have some news right now. Donald Trump just admitted that he is suing the federal government to settle with himself. And probably one of the most corrupt statements you'll hear, but really no one's batting an eye. So on Air Force One, he's speaking to a press gaggle. He said about his multiple lawsuits against the federal government,